Good day and welcome to another first segment of a week at the plot, which is all about the work that I do on my allotment plot in West London each week. Different things, and this morning I'm down for something quite different. It's about 8 o'clock, just gone 8 o'clock, and I'm down here because there is a bit of infrastructure on site that is being changed, and the interesting thing is it's not ours, but it's something that we have given space to allow to happen. We have an air quality monitoring station here. It's just by our communal shed. It stands on a pole. I'll try and put a photo in here. It stands on a pole and it's been there for 3 or 4 years, I think now, monitoring the quality of the air through all of that time. And every day throughout that period, you've been able to go online, or not you, one has been able to go online, including you, and look at the quality of the air. We have a twin, and our twin is in Tottenham Court Road. And for those of you who aren't aware of London, Tottenham Court Road is in the middle of London. It's a really busy thoroughfare, lots of cars, lots of buses, much poorer air quality, I would have thought, than here, where us being on the outskirts of London with lots of open space around us, there's lots of air passing through. So the quality of our air here for London air is really pretty good. So it's interesting that we're twinned with a place that has much lower quality than here. Anyway, it's been up for 5 years. It's been 4 years. It's been monitoring for 4 years, and the funding for that segment of 4 years has come to an end. Further funding has been found for it to continue, but what needs to happen is the equipment needs to change. So 2 guys have just arrived with their van, and they are going to be changing the monitoring equipment. It needs to go a little bit higher, by about 2 or 3 feet than we've got already, and it's a larger solar panel and installation. But the thing is, it shouldn't interrupt the views of any of our neighbours. It's I mean, it doesn't really matter, but we do think about those things, so that should be fine. And I just said to them, do you need me to be down here while you're here? How long are you going to be? So they said they're going to be a couple of hours. So I am going to leave them to it, go home and go to my desk, and then I'll be back here later on at some point to let them out because they need to be let out. And then maybe at that point we can look at the monitor that has been installed. So yeah, I'll see you later on. If my day at my desk goes a bit haywire, we'll pick up on this tomorrow, but hopefully it'll be this afternoon, which is Monday. I hope to see you later. There we are. There's our new node. They strapped another post on the top there onto the top of the old post, and then much larger solar panels. It does more monitoring, much bigger equipment. You can actually see the panel and the 2 boxes below it are the new equipment, and the little panel and the little box that panel underneath is on is the old equipment. So much bigger equipment. We get used to things in technology being much smaller each time we get something, but not this time. That one's bigger, but there we are. It'll be interesting to see it when it's live. It's around 4:30. I've just come down to check on that node and do that little video, do a little bit of watering around, tiny bit of weeding. Had quite a long chat to one of my fellow plotters here about her broadband and her broadband provider. It's so funny, we chat about so many things, and she was moving to a different provider and she was saying, I'm not sure whether I'm doing the right thing. So we had a good chat about that, and I think I was able to assist her along her way of making a decision. And this shed needs a really good tidy, but I do need to go back to my desk to do a little bit more work before I sign off for my work day. So I call my paid consulting work, if you like, and everything else I do is work. And of course the allotment is part work and also sort of part enjoyment. So yeah, anyway, I was going to say something else. I can't think what it was. Oh yes, we turned the water back on. Did I mention that? I'm not sure. The water went back on for the site yesterday. I'm sure I must have mentioned this. But anyway, yes, so I came down and did a walk around with a couple of other, well, not a couple of committee members. I was going to say a couple of other committee members. Of course, I'm not a committee member, but I've done the water for so long. I went along with them to just show them the ropes, which they knew, but, you know, I was quite happy to do that. It only took an hour. Anyway, I am hoping to be back here tomorrow afternoon and have a little bit of a session, maybe putting the broad beans in. Maybe, we'll see. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. Just looking at our brassicas. These are Brussels sprouts. There's only 4 germinated. These are the Portuguese cabbage, dazzling blue kale cross, and there's 5 there. I'll definitely be doing another sowing. No parsley yet. Yeah, I mean, even now, you know, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it feels quite chilly. It really does. It's about 8 degrees, but it feels sort of a bit chillier than that. And I was going to do some more sowing of seeds at the weekend, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to. But we'll see. There is a job I am going to do, so I will show you that now. These broad beans, they are going to be going in today. I was thinking earlier, I've only done 40 because each of these trays modules is 4 by 5, so that's 20. Actually, I've done 4 sets of modules, so that is 80, which is about okay. It's less than I'd normally do sowing direct, but sort of quite happy with what I've got there, and they're all looking healthy. I think there's one that hasn't germinated. Yeah, there's that cell in there that hasn't germinated. So we've got 79, and they are going to be going in here. And I think what I'm going to do is we've got a couple in here already that have sort of survived. You may remember they were mainly all eaten by mice. The mice pulled up the seed, nipped off the growing tip and ate the seed, leaving the growing tip behind. I think what I'm going to do is that one there isn't a broad bean. Those 2 under there are broad beans, but I think I'm going to put the rows, there's going to be double rows, and I'm going to put them along here. You can see here the 2 pegs where rows were originally. Yeah, which will mean, what have I said, there's 80. I'm going to space them about 8 inches apart, so maybe I'm just not thinking straight. We'll get, no, will it fill up this bed? Maybe it will fill up this bed. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this side in and then we'll see how far we get, spacing them 8 inches apart within the rows, and about 8 inches apart between the 2 rows, the double rows that I'm putting in. I'm not thinking straight today. Got a lot on my mind. Okay, so I have zigzagged them, and I think they have ended up about 10 inches to a foot apart in the row, and the rows are about 8 inches apart, so a bit wider than I would have sown them. But you know what, that's what's happened, because I was thinking these are pretty good plants, give them space, so I gave them a little bit more space. So that whole module tray has gone in now, which is 15. That's the one that is fully germinated. Well, one of the 3 that is fully germinated. And I've got space for, I think, one other there from that tray. But I just thought I'd show you the roots. These, I think, would have liked to have gone in maybe 8-10 days ago, something like that, but it didn't happen. As I say, these things happen as they do. You know, there's 3 good times to do something: when it's good for the plant, or when it's best for the plant. The second time is when it's best for you, and then the third time is when it's best for the plant and best for you. And on this occasion, it's been best for me, because these could have gone in earlier. But the thing is, just looking there now, we've got the lavender and the thyme at the end there, so this isn't a full bed. So I think we will actually be using up these 2 beds with the 4 modular trays that need to go in. So I won't be moving any of the ones that have already grown from seed directly sown, though I will be taking out weeds. Right, I'm going to carry on. All I'm doing, in fact, let me just show you, let me put you down a second and I'll show you how I'm taking them out of the modules. If we go to this one, there's quite large holes there, so I'm pushing that through, pulling it out, and there we are. That's that one will be going in. Pushing the roots through, pulling them out, and when I do put them in, I just tease these a little bit. Loosening up the soil right around, pulling that out. Oh, lost some compost there. Let's just mix that in a bit. In it goes, around, firm it in, around. Yeah, happy days. That one looks oh, I think it's the angle. To me, that one looks a slightly different colour to that one. Right, on with the rest. That's 78 broad bean plants in, plus 5 that were already there. I don't think I ended up moving any. No, I didn't. I just left them be where they were. And of course, now they'll need a really good water in. We're due some rain later, but just in case it doesn't come, I'm going to give these a water in now. I think they're a little bit tighter in the row than I would wish for. And of course, I'm now thinking, well, there is a huge amount of space down the middle. I did think, well, what I could do is I could plant sunflowers down there. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? And then I remembered that sunflowers are allelopathic, in that they oh, what's the word? I can't think of it, but they basically put out something that stops other plants around them growing, because they want to hog the the area that they've been sown in and that they're growing in to themselves. And yeah, so they basically stop other things growing around them. And we did do a test in that bed over there a few years ago, and sure enough, things that were growing around them didn't grow as well as things that didn't have sunflowers growing amidst them. So yeah, I mean, we do get, these have been planted at the same depth that they were, maybe just a centimetre deeper. They were obviously holding themselves really tightly together when they're in the modular trays. I can't say it today, modular trays. But now they're sort of individually, even though they're planted pretty close, they are individual now. So I want breezes across the plot over the coming week or so that these can strengthen quite nicely rather than hurricane force winds. Of course, this netting here with the Brassicas, which I think we'll be sorting out later this week or next week, that will buffet the wind somewhat, because this is the direction of the prevailing wind. So these are likely to be buffeted more than those, because the netting here will protect these a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just going to give them a really good water now to bed them all in. That's that job done. I can feel a few spots of rain. I would, if I knew it was going to be dry, I would most probably wait about another 20 minutes and give each side another watering can full of water. But I do think it's going to rain, so I'm going to leave them as they are. The compost was in the module, so that held the root ball together. That was pretty moist, so yeah, I'm not fearful of them not having enough moisture. That watering then and the water to come was just to sort of bed them in a little bit. That is that job done, which I am delighted about. As I say, I'd have liked to have got them in a week ago, but it didn't actually happen. They're all in now, and hopefully they will grow on well. And the two words I was trying to think of when I was talking about the allelopathic sunflowers was suppress and inhibit. So the sunflowers put out something into the soil. Is it a hormone? Is it a pheromone? I'm not sure. But basically it suppresses growth around it and inhibits growth around it, because the sunflower really wants itself to grow and it doesn't bother about other things. I'm not quite sure how that works in a sunflower field. Maybe they all get on a bit better in a sunflower field because they're all the same things. So yeah, there we are. Anyway, I've got a very long day tomorrow. I'm doing workshops at an academy with one of our fellow plotters here tomorrow. So that's 90, 60, 150, 210 students over 3 workshops tomorrow. So that's going to be quite a long day. I think it's from 8:30 in the morning, so I'll be leaving home at 5:30. We'll be setting up from 7:30, first one at 8:30. Then we go through the day, 2 hours for each of them. And then there's a gap in the middle, obviously rather a brief gap between the workshops. So I won't be home most probably till about 6 or 6:30 tomorrow. So quite a long day for me. And yeah, 210 students. Yay! I'm insane. Anyway, I have done a job and I'm very happy about that today. See you again very soon. Bye. Good day. It's Sunday morning, and having done this job, is it last week I think, I've been looking at it through the week and decided that actually I wanted to take this Buddleia down further. And in fact, now I'm looking at it and standing back, I might take this one down as well. I think that would be sensible. Yeah, I think that would be sensible. In fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, I've done it. That's good. That will allow more light into the poly over this growing season, and also that Buddleia really did need a good cut back. It really did. We'll obviously have quite a bit of growth. You can see quite a bit of growth on there already, and there is a little bit of tidying up to do. And let me show you what happens with Buddleia when after its growing season, and we can see some bits that are really important to take out that we might not be able to see from this angle. I've just realized I did the angle wrong, didn't I? I think I did it because there was a neighbour on my right, so I didn't want to get them into shot. Anyway, let's take a closer look. This is what I've taken off this morning. You know, some of these are really chunky. I mean, this one, I can't get my hand around that. I can get my hand around half of that. And that one over there is even bigger than this one here. But what you get when a Buddleia dies back, i.e. at the end of its growing season, a lot of branches will just die, and there'll be dead wood like that. If I do that, it just breaks off the trunk, you can see. So where there's sort of bits sticking out that might catch in people's eye, I'm going to cut those back. And where they're superfluous like this, well, that one's already broken off as I pull it down there, I'll be cutting these back. So there's one in here, can you see that? You know, these are all sort of dead bits here, so I'll tidy that up, but maybe not today. I'll just make sure that it's safe for the guys to walk past on their side of the plot, their plot, and my plot, their side of my plot. And I'm going to take this all over to the dead hedge and put it in it. Then I'm going to be sowing some seeds. These are the seeds that I'm going to be sowing today. They are, I think, Candelabra Primulas. I was in a local park in the autumn, and I asked one of the rangers whether I could take some of the seeds from what looked like the seed heads of a Candelabra Primula, and he said yes, and scatter any others. So I did that. So I think I did about 4 plants and scattered most of the seeds and kept these. So I'm going to be sowing these today, and we'll see how they do. A highly scientific experiment that is neither controlled nor highly scientific, but is a bit of an experiment. These have been sitting out in a bowl over the winter. Should have put them in the fridge, didn't. I think they could have done with some stratification, but I'm going to see how they do. I'm just going to put them in my hand and then scatter them over, move some of them around a bit because they're all sort of together, and just a very thin layer of compost on top, really thin. Right, now I'm going to give these a very gentle water. This is our early sowing of dazzling blue kale crossed with Portuguese cabbage at the front, Brussels sprouts at the back. We have had a few others that have germinated, but they've been pretty weak. So actually I'm going to do another seed sowing in a couple of weeks, but I'm just going to prick these out and put these into pots now. At the front here are the 3 Brussels sprouts. At the back are the 4 Portuguese cabbage stroke dazzling blue kale cross. Nothing in the parsley as yet. I think I'll be sowing some more parsley, and I think I might just put this onto one of our beds. And nothing in the Candelabra Primulas yet, despite having sown them about 20 minutes ago. Just looking at the Jersey Royals, still no sign of any growth here. No. Over here, these are our Cara. No sign of anything here. These are our Sarpo Mira. And I just noticed as I was passing before, there's some leaf above ground, potato leaf above ground. And now I'm wondering, is that potato leaf from a seed potato I planted 10-12 inches deep, or is it one that has been left over from last year that I missed? I don't know, but whatever, it's nice to see some potato leaf. What it's not quite so nice to see is over in the corner over there, you most probably can't see, is some bindweed coming up. So I'm going to get in with a hand fork and take that out straight away, having seen it. And as I'm here, I can also see some other weeds over there. I'm going to take those out too. Let's try and keep as much weed free as possible this year. You may remember I put this wire in that goes along here and along there a few weeks ago, and generally I think these are all doing well. Look, you can see that's already budding up. Come along here, this one, you see that is budding up quite nicely, and down on the lower as well. But what I have noticed on this one is we've got growth there. Can that focus? No, it's not focusing. Growth there. Well, if we come along, none of these have survived. So I'll be cutting that back, most probably somewhere along this line. There's 2 side ones, one here and one here, and I need to put a string in between, or a line in between. I guess what I could do is I could bring this one up, maybe. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, and then that one can grow along the top line. That seems a sensible thing to do. Anyway, another thing just in passing. Oh, and this bit here is coming out. I'm actually going to cut this back because I don't want things to encroach onto the path too much. I guess it's not going to encroach too much. I'm going to leave it as it is. There we are, changing my mind in an instant, as per usual. It's been quite a busy week for me, both at my desk and work, with quite a bit of travelling down to the Great Green Barn this week, twice for that, for late evenings for events. They've all gone really well, but been quite exhausting. And then there was a workshop that I helped a fellow plotter here with. That was actually in South London. That was another 12-hour day of work. So yeah, I'm glad to have got done the few jobs I have got done. I have just taken out the bindweed from the corner of the potato bed, the Sarpo Mira bed, and also those other sprouting grasses that are in the corner. There's other weeding that I'm going to do, but I will do that this afternoon. Next week we are going to be, or likely to be, sowing carrots and parsnips. So that will be in the raised bed in front of the shed here. So I'll need to look at that and tidy that. Maybe also take out the large Brassica that's in there, which is a perennial Brassica. Move it to our Brassica bed. I might undo the nets from the Brassica bed next week so that their blooms can blossom fine. And I've also just watered the broad beans. The broad beans are actually looking pretty good at the moment, so I'm quite happy about that. So yeah, and I don't know if I did say, but the person who I helped them with their workshop this week, his wife has also given me some onion sets, some red and some white, and I'm wondering whether I put these down the middle of the broad beans. Maybe I do that. I'm not sure. But anyway, there we are. That is all for this week. Another really bits and bobs week, I think. Quite another bits and bobs week has gone by. But those bits and bobs are jobs that have got done, and I'm happy about that. And I'm planning other jobs to get done next week. So that is all good and grand. So I'm going to leave it there for this week's A Week at the Plot. Any comments, any questions, please do leave them down below. Any suggestions as well. And whatever is happening in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope you are getting pleasure from it. Whether you're beginning to put it to bed in the southern hemisphere, or whether you're getting into the swing of things in the northern hemisphere, or if you're along that wonderful band along the equator where you have, you know, so many growing seasons. In fact, you can grow all year, you know, in some places. I hope you are having an abundance of harvests. I will see you again very soon next week on Planet Vegetaria for further segments of A Week at the Plot as we go through the week, and on YouTube in a week's time for another full upload. See you very soon, and happy growing. Bye.